Welcome at Masi, in the Veneto region, northeast of Italy, where the Boscaini family, my family, produces stunning wine from this land, typically of this region, since 1772. Actually, in this moment, we are in one of these drying lofts. Actually, in our estate and in this region has been developed this expertise in drying the grapes before to make them wine. So drying the grapes is a very long process that has been initiated back at the Roman time, so over 2000 years ago, in order to achieve more concentration and more personality to the wine from the local grapes variety. This drying comes in a natural way, just gently putting the full bunches perfectly ripe during the season in September, October, on these bamboo trays. This grape lies here for 3 to 4 months, losing between 35 to 40% of the original weight. In this way, all the juices, all the contents of the berries get concentrated, leaving some water out, and everything gets concentration. And moreover, we have some transformation of aromatics, of course, intensity of acidity, sugars level, and even color composites inside the berries. This juice that comes out of the crushing of these dried grapes is more thick, is more dense, giving much more big wine. This is the way that we do the world's famous Amarone. Just to know, it's important to know that at Masi we developed this technique of drying the grapes in many other original interpretations. Of course, we are producing Amarone. Actually, we are the leader in the production of Amarone, having 5 different Amarones, but even we master this expertise in winemaking with dried grapes, as I said, adding other products that take advantage of the technique, but in different ways, with blend and with double fermentation wine. Important to know even the tradition that still in use of using this bamboo rack for doing the drying. Actually is the most efficient way to have the grapes dried and avoiding any kind of disease, mold, mosquitoes, or all the other elements. You know how delicate as a fruit is a grape, having this berry very delicate, but in this bamboo tray is the ideal condition. Through each cane of bamboo, the air can go through, and the grape is like suspended on the air, basically. Can air everywhere, on top, on the bottom, on the sides, and so the process of drying can be perfectly done. Of course, it's a natural process, but in some condition we can have some problem. Some autumn are too much wet, we have too much humidity, sometimes we have some fog or rainy days for weeks, and this is too bad for our grapes that eventually doesn't dry, but eventually get mold and diseases and so on. So we equip this room with some instrument that just in case can help the natural environment. So how it works? If the condition outside of this room are the ideal one, so dry, ventilated, and possibly sunny during the autumn, so nothing happens. All the windows and the openings are open automatically, and the nature can do the work of drying the grapes. If eventually, as I said, we have a bad season with a lot of rain and so on, some sensor feel the humidity amount is too high and automatically close all the windows and doors. Therefore, the environment is insulated from outside and can start some dehumidification with the system, with the climatization system. So once again, we have the help of the state-of-the-art technology when needs. It's not a forced drying, But when the nature is not friendly with us, we substitute it with technology. Corvina, Rondinelle, Molinelle, yes, sometimes they are separate, the grapes. Some other times are all together. Depends on the vineyard where we source the grapes. But more or less the time of drying is exactly the same for the three varieties and so on. The only one, yeah, I almost forgot. One very interesting thing about this drying of the grapes, and specifically, is one of the three varieties, Corvina, which actually in the blend of the Amarone is the one that usually is around 70–75%. So the most important grapes into the Amarone blend. Corvina, nearly at the end of the drying process, gets infected with a fungus, the botrytis, the same of Sauterne. Is, let's say, a secret of the Amarone. Why is secret? Because it's not visible. If you see cluster, you cannot see, oh, this is infected or not, unless you don't lift your bunch through the light, and you see some berries that are almost transparent. Those are the ones infected with the botrytis. So what is important in botrytis? That botrytis generates into the berries glycerin. And the glycerin is the why Amarone is so drinkable, even if it's 15.5 alcohol, if it's even very high in dry extract, is a big wine, but always gentle and smooth, due to this quantity of glycerin that is inside the wine. Good. Good. So now we are in the Masi's experimental cellar. Here, the Masi technical group, this group of experts in winemaking, vine growing, marketing, and all, let's say, the disciplines that are behind the label, have the opportunity to test all the different varieties, the different technique in this state-of-the-art cellar of vinification. All of this tank, this 8 tanks, has got equipped with different system in order to make the best fermentation. So we can either taste the same grape variety in 8 different way of vinified, or either test different varieties in the same way to see the differences, the future of our local enology. This cellar is always busy during the season, of course. We are collaborating with several universities, including, of course, the local Verona, but Milan, Udine, Bordeaux, and some more around the world, where every season we have between 5 and 10 students that are doing their experiment. They master everything around our viticulture. And for us is really precious elements in order to be always updated and be at the forefront of the innovation in winemaking in the Venetian area. So, of course, the lifetime of the wine, some of the time of the wine when it's built is time in the wood. In this part of the experimental cellar, we test the different wood, the different size of barrels, and why not, even the different shape, which is quite unique possibility to see this square barrel. Of course, very convenient in terms of logistics of to stack and so on, no waste of space. Nevertheless, not really the ideal for the wine, but we are testing. The producer asked us to test this barrel, so we are pleased to do that. We are here for that. Then we have a choice of different wood. Here we have a lavender, but we have a chestnut, we have a cherry, we have acacia, in order to see what is better for the single variety, for the single wine, and for how much time. So the most variable things that we can have in choosing a wood are here tested, and then we can make the decision for the large productions. Right. So after all the experimentation, all the studies that, once again, I remember, we can make just in a season, so once a year. We don't have many chances. So once a year we have these results, Result for us means wines that we bottle, of course, in small batches, just to have the memory of what we did. For example, here we have a 2002 Merlot that has been not watered, so has been just grown without having any kind of irrigation. In 2002, down in Argentina, where we have our estate. These are the witness of the experimentation we did, and from time to time, with the technical group, we can taste and check how the wine is developing according with the experiment we did in the past. Eureka moment, all right, well, Eureka, yeah. I would say yes, when we basically discovered this ancient variety, rediscovered this ancient variety Oseletta. This is a very ancient grape that was widely planted in this area until the beginning of last century, the beginning of 1900, when the phylloxera, this bugs, kills basically all the vineyards in Europe. After that, the viticulture has been replanted everywhere, but not using anymore those varieties that were considered not good, both for the low yield or the bad quality. Well, some of them has been replanted, and some more interest came afterwards. This is the case of this Oseletta, a grape that my father found it back in the 70s at his uncle's house, not very far from here. There was 4 plants of this variety, and then thanks to his curiosity, we now are the most important producer of this variety, which gives really a specific personality and aroma to the Valpolicella wines. Having a very small bunch, very small berries, a lot of concentration, a lot of power to be added to the wine. One of our Amarone, for example, the Riserva Costa Sierra, has got a 10%. And this strength of this variety give, I always say, a backbone to the wine, a very firm backbone. So this is an example of the results of our studies that became a regular production. Once again, in the Masi Technical Group studies, of course, the studies start from scratch, so from the soil where we plant our vineyards. And it's interesting, those are the most interesting vineyard that where we grow grapes. From the single vineyard Campolongo di Torbe, where you can see very dark soil, is actually the residual of volcano activities. So volcanic soil, very rich in mineral, very dark. Then here we are more close to this area, Vaio Malone, and you see is the stratification of both clay and limestones and so on. So once again, Mazzano, again here more volcanic soil, you see more dark but a different texture. So it's very interesting, and here we have the Lake Garda where we have more sandy soil. It's very interesting to see where our vines can develop, can grow. The roots are taking energy from the soil, and according where they are, they can be more rich in water, minerals, or other elements, and so giving different results. The same grape, different soil, different results. Of course, the finding and the maturation of the wine that comes in the barrel is very important in order to give the more smooth and complex and pleasant product. But even the aging of the wine in the bottles, in our cellars, is very important. Following a tradition of the family started by my grandfather Guido, was to keep aside around 10% of every year's production of Amarone. In order to do what? To save this wine and to put it on the market several decades after, in order to have the chance to taste the second age of Amarone, when it's really mature and of course aged. This is a tradition that is quite expensive. You can imagine, you see thousands and thousands of bottles that are lying here for 10, 15, 20 years. And then they will be released, a second release on the market to give verticals to our passionate consumers, to restaurants that can put a full vertical in their restaurant with wines that has been stored properly with the guarantee of Masi. So for us it's a very precious heritage and tradition to keep going. All this bottle has been, of course, bottled at the time of the bottling, then some of them released in the market, and those are stored here for more years. All the bottles has been checked every year to see the developing, and eventually it's going to be recorked before to be placed in the market. Of course, not all the vintage of Amarone are actually deserve this kind of treatment, this kind of care. But when they are great, they are really outstanding. The wine can last for over 40 years with a great intensity and a great emotion to the consumer. In front of me, for example, I have one of the best vintage of the last century, 97. That was a great vintage when everything goes how it's supposed to go. Great sunshine, a nice cool temperature during the springtime. The flowering was great. During the summer you have a nice sun, but not too heavy, not to burn the grape on the plants, and a perfect autumn, so the harvest and the time of drying. So that was really the ideal season, and the result is still here. 97 is the most celebrated vintage for the Amarone. This until a few years ago, 2007 and 2006 were both great vintages. But this is more curious as well. There were great vintages at the same level, so 5-star vintages, but for different reasons. If 96 was apparently quite a challenging season during the spring because of the lot of rain, this at the end helps a lot. So these rainfalls make some flower lose some flower. This leads the vine to deliver bunches with less berries. Less berry means very loose bunches with a lot of space between berries. Just the perfect bunches to go in the process of appassimento, where the air can go through and do the job. No disease at all. That was really great. This very nature provide the perfect bunch for the appassimento. The maturation in barrel is very important for Amarone and all the wines with appassimento. Actually, here at Masi we have a very precise philosophy in the using of the wood for aging. Of course, the wood is the one that interacts with the wine the most. The possibility to the air to go through the pore of the wood and give oxygen to the wine, together with the texture and the flavors of the wood that integrates into the wine. Well, this point is quite delicate for us. I always say to our technician to use the wood for what it's supposed to do, to smooth the angles into the wines, to make it more smooth and gentle. So a balanced wine from Masi and Amarone Costa Sierra, for example, can be very smooth and gentle. And in some way you don't perceive that has been stored for years in barrel. So you perceive for the smoothness, for the gentleness of the wine, but not for the taste of the wood. So in Valpolicella, in this region, the traditional way to age both Valpolicella and the Amarone are in this giant barrel, always made in oak, and actually here the wine can really settle down very gently and slowly through the years. So once again, the effect of the wood into the wine is basically not measurable, is nothing. But the breathing of the through the pour of the wine is very, very important. A very gentle way to improve your wine. Takes a lot of years. So with the Masi Award, Masi and the Masi Foundation celebrates all the, excellence of the Venetian area, of the culture of winemaking and the diplomacy and global peace. Is a prize that has been initiated 33 years ago, where the winner of this prize, judged by a very prestigious jury, can enjoy a barrel of Amarone. So in the 33 edition has been many winners, including, of course, in the terms of wine. For example, last year, the Institute of Master of Wine from UK, but many other producers, writers, or even entrepreneur in the wine world, but even in the Venetian culture, representation. So here, this small and ancient cellar, we dedicated to this Oseleta grape. Here is basically almost at the opposite of the other wines we produce. Oseleta deserve a very hard treatment with wood. That's why here we use new barrique, high toasted, because this grape, very generous in terms of tannin structure and acidity, need to be, let's say, calmed down by the wood. So in this small cellar we have 3 vintages of Oseleta that get treated with wood in order to become more smooth and gentle, but keeping its strong and precise distinctive character. This is the Cantina Privata Boscaini, where we collect the best vintages to be shared with friends, and is a very intimate celebration of wines that, as I say, the tradition of my family, we start to keep aside these wines. Here we have nearly 100 years of history of our region, of our enology, in these magnificent bottles that saved here, you see, protected by this gate from everyone else but the family. Costa Sierra Contemporary Art is a project that involved, of course, Masi and the contemporary art. We started last year in Sweden, asking Ernst Billgren to create a paint inspired by our flagship wine, the Costa Sierra Amarone. The project is made in this way, where the artist Ernst produced these paintings called Nature and Culture, because he believes, and is basically right, that wine is something that put together, of course, nature, the elements to make the wine, and the culture, the handcraftship, the man intelligence, and the story behind to make wine. And so it is said that these things become into a circle. Actually, the circle that is basically the shape of our characteristic label. So he interprets this wine and the label with this opera. So the project is not finished just that, to having purchased an opera from Ernst, but we produce a limited edition of Costa Sierra in this specific label that really have the opera of Ernst. And with the revenues, thanks to the selling of this limited edition of Costa Sierra Contemporary Art, we were able to finance a scholarship for who? For a young artist from Sweden that had the opportunity to come for a couple of weeks in Murano learning the art of blowing the glass. And the contest has been ended a few weeks ago when this student came back from his experience in Milano, delivering a piece of art over there. So in this 20 years of our friendship with Sweden, I've been many times in your land, and it's a wonderful place. And I feel that our wines really get very well with your food, with your tradition, with your weather as well. And in this time, I had a great experience in terms of meeting people, meeting culture, having nice evenings in Stockholm and everywhere around Sweden. So thanks for the loyalty with Masi, the friendship that you show, and the interest that you keep showing in our wines, in our family. Skål.